Right, in this section we'll be configuring documents to print or save, and let's start with printing. So first of all, we can go back up to the QAT, the Quick Access toolbar, and we can add, if we want, Quick Print and Print Preview and Print. Now Quick Print will print to your default printer, whereas Quick Print, so Print Preview and Print, gives you some options. Another way of getting to that screen is to go File, Print. So that's exactly the same screen as if I click on the Print Preview and Print. And here we can see an example of what the print is going to be on your chosen printer. Now if you want to configure your printer a bit more, then you can click on the printer properties. And this dialog box will be different compared to, depending on what sort of printer you've got. It will be very printer specific. Now you can choose to print the whole thing or just a selection. So for instance, you could literally highlight text and just print that. Notice it doesn't get replicated over here, so it's still showing the entire document. You can print just one page. Again, it's showing the entire document. Or you can print specific pages, and you can see some examples of that when you hover over the tooltip. So 1, 3, 5 to 12. So that will omit pages 2, 4 and anything from 13 onwards. Now you can also see you can print one side or two sides depending on how your printer is. If your printer is naturally two-sided, then that option will be there. If not, then there will be a manual option. You can choose to print multiple copies. So here's the multiple copies section, but you can choose to have them collated or uncollated. Uncollated means that a 6-page document, if you're printing 3 copies, then uncollated means it will print 3 copies of page 1, then 3 copies of page 2, 3 copies of page 3. Collated means it will print pages 1 to 6, and then 1 to 6, and then 1 to 6. Portrait or landscape. Sizes, we've been through paper sizes before, we've been through margins before, and how many pages you want per sheet. Again, notice that is not necessarily replicated on the print preview. You can also zoom in and out of the print preview as well, and you can also go out to a page width by clicking on this last icon. Now page setup gets you to a dialog box that we've looked at earlier as well. Now let's go to something a bit more advanced. So again, if you don't want advanced, feel free to skip this section. If you go to options, computer just crashed, so let's try this again. If you go to options, and if you go to display, there's some printing options. So the first one of which is you can print graphics and text boxes. We'll learn more about graphics and text boxes later, but this is normally ticked and will mean that any drawings will be printed. However, notice what won't be printed by default. Print background colours and images. So if you want background colours and images printing, you will have to tick this dialog box. And by ticking, I mean checking it in America. In Britain we call it tick, in America it's called check. Printing hidden text may be useful. Printing document properties, again, this metadata may be useful. Now, personally, I don't tick or check these second, third or fourth ones, but I do the fifth one, update fields. We'll be talking about fields much later on, but just to let you know, I always have this checked. And update link data before printing, I don't have that checked. So this one's an important one if you've got background colours and images which you want printing. Alright, we now move into a new section, formatting text, paragraph and sections. and we're starting off with inserting text and paragraphs. So for some people this might be a bit basic, appending text to documents, but it's a requirement, so I'll just go through it. So needless to say, you will have your existing document already saved, so you will open it up. So file, open, find it. You could go onto your cloud, you could go onto your PC, or you can browse and find it wherever it is. We've set a password to open the file if you remember. And look over here, there is a welcome back. Pick up where you left off. In other words, if I just click here, we'll go back to where we were just a few minutes ago when we closed it. So appending text to documents is very easy. We can use the scroll bar going up and down to find where we want to add text. If it's right at the end, we go right to the end, for instance, and we click. And the flashing arrow is where new text will be added. So I could do it right in the middle of a word, and new text would be added right in the middle of the word. And then to append the text, you simply type it. This is my new text. And that is appending text to documents. It's as simple as that. But I'm going to use the rest of the time in this video, since I like these videos to be about 5 minutes, to have a look at navigating your way through documents. So yes, you can use the mouse. You can use the mouse to go up and down and to click, but you can also use the arrow keys. You can use the up, down, left and right arrow keys. So far, so maybe obvious, but if you press Ctrl and left, you will go back one word. And if you go Ctrl and right, so the control button is the one that marks C, T or L, then you go to an end of the word. If you go Ctrl and up, you go to the start of the sentence, the paragraph. And that's also the case if you press the home key. If you press the end key, you go to the end of the paragraph. If you press Ctrl and home, you go to the very top of the document, and if you press Ctrl and end, you get to the very end. So those those shortcut keys can just help you focusing your hands on the keyboard rather than going off the keyboard to the mouse and then back again. Now, if you want a full list of all of these shortcuts, just Google Microsoft Word shortcut keys. And here you can see Control and left arrow moves one word to the left. Now, there are an awful lot of shortcut keys, and you don't need to remember them all. And I'm fairly certain, actually, these aren't all of them. Yes, these are more commonly used shortcut keys. And so all I did was I googled shortcut keys for Word. What I suggest you do is just have a read of this and find something that you want to remember. Say you want to be able to remember how to move one word to the left, and just remember how to do that. So just take in the ones that you actually want to remember, and then you can just use the mouse for the rest. So that should help you navigate around your document and append text to existing documents. Right, in this section we're going to look at formatting text in paragraphs, and we're going to start with changing the font attributes. Incidentally, did you just see what I did? I got rid of the header and footer by just double clicking inside the grey area. Now, changing font attributes. The first question is, what are font attributes? Well, if we go to Home, everything that is here is an attribute, in other words, a characteristic, an adjective of a font. We start off with the font name. So you will have different fonts, no doubt, on your computer. And to change it, you can just hover over it. So you can see in the background over there that you have a demonstration of what it will look like. It's a live demonstration. And to say, yes, I definitely want it, you click on it. So the actual font name is an attribute of the font. And you'll see over here in this reveal formatting pane, which I get to by pressing Shift and F1, that the name of the font is also shown here, default script. Now, fonts can be done for anything from one letter to the entirety of the document. So for instance, I could have a different font. Let's choose a nice bold font for just one letter. Size is another attribute to a font. So here we can adjust the size, and again this gives us a preview of what it will look like. And to finally get one, you click on it. Now you are not limited to this selection. For instance, you'll notice there's nothing between 36 and 48. You can delete what's there and type in your own value. And you can get below font size 8. You can go font size 7, font size 4. Of course, by then it's getting really small. Generally 10 to 12 is an average font size, I would say. You can also go up a single step. You can see the shortcut key Control Shift and the greater than sign. And notice over here you've got the size of the font. So if I change all of this, you can see it's greyed out. It's not entirely sure what it is throughout the entirety. It's fine up to here. But if I just extend it just a bit more, it's not, I didn't include the comma, it looks like, when I highlighted it initially. So it's mixed. As soon as you try and highlight text which is of more than one thing, then it won't show either of them here. So if I highlight something with more than one font, it won't show any here. You notice it shows it over here in the reveal formatting, but it doesn't show it over here. So over here. So you can go up and you can go down using these. Now this changes the case. So in other words, you can have sentence case, meaning that the first letter is in upper, or you can have uppercase throughout or lowercase throughout, or capitalize each word, or toggle case. I personally don't see that as part of the font. I see that part of the way that it's written. The last one, toggle font, means uppercase where it's lowercase and lowercase where it's uppercase. Another font characteristic is bold, italic, and underline. So that's bold, italic, and underline. And for a lot of fonts, you actually have a different font for the bold than you do for the not bold. So here you've got, for instance, Copperplate Gothic Light and Copperplate Gothic Bold. They're two separate fonts. Here's another one, Eras Light, Eras Medium, and Eras Bold. You won't necessarily have that, but it helps a computer if it did. You can also have strike through, that's part of a font. You can have subscript, so that's useful if you're using like H2O and you want the 2 to be in the small bit, or if you were going like Pythagoras theorem, a squared equals b squared plus c squared. And if you couldn't remember how to do the square symbol, and it is a symbol, an insert symbol, you could do it that way as well, by making it superscript. Now there are other esoteric things. I don't think too many people use the outline. But it can give your sentence a bit of a flair, maybe. I don't think I've ever used it, but if you want to, it's there. Highlight is something that I do use, as is changing the font foreground colour. And again, all of this can be done to a single letter or an entire document. Also, when you highlight words or letters, you get this little dialog box that enables you to change automatically, so it doesn't matter that you're not in the home. And finally, you've got this drop down box, which gives you a completely new box, a dialog box, where you can adjust things to your house content, including various types of underline style.